I'm AJ. Here with me is G. Here with me. Maybe here with me. I don't know. Could be somewhere else. And Ben Harler. How you going, Ben?
Yeah, good fellas. Good.
Good.
Just wondering how
Wait,
much
your
I
glasses-
achieved already.
They're not the best glasses to use playing cards, G, because I can see your hand.
I can also see. I can also
Just
see
about.
the computer screen as well. What does it say? Somethinghub.com? I can't see it.
I don't know. Is that a good hand? Do I win anything?
Nope.
Oh,
Nothing
I got
at
no
all.
idea. So people are probably wondering why the hell I'm holding cards up and got my glasses on. But
Yes. Yeah, but I'm sure there's a story. Last time you were naked. So, but I don't know if there's a story behind that. I think
there's
that's
always a story.
personal preference.
I actually might leave those on. This new Halo light that I've got that's meant to make me look softer on camera is just too bright. Too bright. You can see
Can
it
you
in
turn it down, G?
You can. It's actually quite. I just bought it from Officeworks, and you can change. You can get it dimmer.
warm setting.
Yes, you've got
Yes.
like the warm white, the cold white, which is I suppose that's the cold one, and then you just that's the cold one, and there's one sort of, and there's one in between. Oh, geez, I don't know which one it is now. Oh, geez, now I'm turning it up. Yes. But mate, everybody that has
I'm
these,
watching Beetlejuice.
it's all these people that like tubers and that they got this thing. What are they called? YouTubers.
What is it
They got these things down pat. Me, I've got no idea what it's meant to be on. But there we go. We'll leave it on that.
Hey, Campy. Hey, Pat. How you doing?
Boys.
Now, before we get to so the elephant in the room, and I know that a lot of podcasts have spoken about this already, but I can't just leave this on the table.
Dude, I've been working out. I don't appreciate the fact that you've said I've put on COVID kilos. I've been doing my darndest, mate. So please don't call me an elephant. Hippo.
Oh, COVID kilos. Yes, we know about COVID kilos. Urban Meyer.
No, I don't.
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer.
So
Hey,
let
the
me
grinder.
just, for those who have just sort of been, I don't know, in Antarctica for a week. So after a tough loss against the Cincinnati Bengals in Ohio, plunging the Jaguars to 0-4, a devastated, and he used that word, Urban Meyer, after his press conference in which he said it was a devastating loss, instead of getting to work as you should, as a head coach should, with team building and bringing that team up and supporting them, did not travel back home on the team plane, as every coach does, except for the ones that have been fired. So I think the only times that it ever has happened in the past has been when a coach has been fired and they've said, it's going to be a bit awkward me getting on the team plane. Decides to stay back, he said, to see his family and grandkids, which in light of what he actually did is a very awkward thing to say, because I don't think that was his granddaughter.
It wasn't his granddaughter.
It better not have been.
Well, this is we're back in like the royal circles of England. If that's his granddaughter with all the stuff.
Anyway, needless to say, a very, very bad look, followed by a very awkward apology press conference that was very reminiscent of Adam Gase watching the flying tacos around the room. He looked everywhere but in the eyes of the reporters, and would have been doing himself a better service if he had actually stood there with confidence and said, look, I did the wrong thing. Instead, he's like, head down. Now, listen, I'm a teacher. For those who don't know, I'm a teacher. I have occasion to tell kids off when they do the wrong things. You're a father, G. You're a father, Ben. You know, when you tell off kids, the thing that annoys me is when they don't look me in the eye.
2.5 expected
right?
goals.
And if they're looking on the ground, I'll go, look at me, right? And I'll make them look at me in the eye, because it avoids responsibility, I reckon. You stare at the floor, it's very easy to kind of disconnect from what's happening. You don't kind of take responsibility. So anyway, I think that press conference was really, really awkward and horrible. Apparently then, this is all hearsay though from here, in team position group meetings, I don't think he addressed the team as a whole, but apparently he had some quote unquote apologies that he had with some of the position groups, and the word was that the players found that all quite amusing and disingenuous. So has he lost the team?
Well, I think he lost the team before the season started. Dealing with children, I should say. That's Campy.
The only thing I saw yesterday was the captains, after the practice finishes and stuff, and they all get together and they all put their hands up, and he just went 1, 2, 3, grind.
Yes.
So they all laughed. I think that says it all, really. Like they're laughing at him in his face and behind his back. I imagine.
I'm pretty sure, mate, that these guys are big enough, and and the alphas the alphas of type of people that mate, they'll be doing it straight to his face. I think that he has no respect at all. He probably didn't have as much as you want a coach to have that comes in and starts his tenure with someone, and he's just whatever little strands that were there have just been absolutely eroded.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to mention, I think, here is that, let's not, the players across the NFL, are no angels, right? We've seen that for years and years, right? So there'll be a few there going, coach, nice work, mate. But seriously, like the majority of these guys, grow out of that pretty quickly and become massive professionals. And, it's all about the win. It's all about being the best. This sends the complete wrong message. And I think we all know probably how privileged these guys are in college as well. Like, I think that's probably got something to do with it. It's been around that atmosphere for a long time.
It's you can get away with it in college, but these dudes are, mate, this is professional football, mate. Like, it should have just fired his ass. Gone. That's it, mate. There's no 1, 2. This is not the workplace where you get the 3 strike rule. Like that's it. Done. Finished. Move on. We'll reset. We made a mistake. And let's not compile our mistake even higher than the one we've already building up now. But it's not the fact that he was at the nightclub or the fact that it's just the whole fact that he stayed behind, and you've got, what have they got, an extra couple of days before, because they played. They've got like an extra 2 or 3 days over the usual weeks between games. Mate, you go down, you're gonna become like one of the only teams to lose 20 games in a row in the NFL history. And you're at 19 now. Do you really want to have that against you? And granted, mate, a lot of those came, what are we at, 19? So 15 of those came before you started your tenure here. But this is still the same football franchise. Whether or not it happened before or why you were here, you're now part of that 20 games if it happens next week.
Yep.
Mate, you got to be grinding as much as you can.
Shouldn't be using that word. Yeah.
No, I shouldn't actually. Freudian slip, sorry. But mate, would you ever see, and I know we talk about the Patriots, we talk about Brady every time we talk about a football player, and we talk about Bill Belichick, but would you ever see Bill Belichick ever do this? Out of all the shit that he's done, this is one thing you could never lay in his lap. This would be something that he'd do. He'd be on the plane, mate. He'd have the laptop up straight away with his coaches going, how the hell? Okay, let's move on. This is, mate, 5 minutes after the game, walk out the door, the laptop would be open on the taxi or the bus on the way to the airport for the next game.
Yeah. And, this is a guy that's getting millions of dollars paycheck, right? And granted, when you get home, then you're going to have a couple of days off. But you know what? You fly home with the team, and even if you get straight back on a plane and go back to Ohio, then you say to the team, you know what? This sounds kind of stupid, but I'm going off to see the fam. I'm going to actually head back the other way. Ha ha! Isn't that funny? But that you've got cred for. You're getting millions of bucks. It's not like you are just some working schmo and you have to save the money. You can't afford to kind of do that.
Mate, what's to say every player that goes and plays at where they grew up, going, hey, I'm not going back with the team. I'm just going to hang a couple of days.
That's right.
You know, a couple of mates are coming over, haven't seen them for a while, you know. Like, mate, the off-season in American football is quite, compared to what we have in Australia for our code, is quite a long time. Okay, granted, there's a lot of work that goes on in that. But, mate, you have time to go back and see your family, or you've got enough fucking money to put them on a plane and they can come over and see you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so anyway.
It's weird. It's like you see from things like Hard Knocks and, you know, kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff, you get a little, I guess, glimpse into how much time a head coach has to spend with, you know, the team, a player. Like, it doesn't seem a lot, does it? It doesn't.
No, it's not.
It doesn't seem like they're always sat down, you know, they're spending breakfast, lunches, dinner together. It doesn't seem like that at all. So you just think, why are you wasting time when you've already got
no time? Yeah.
The number one pick. Like, I'd be sitting on the flight home with him, going through the tape, you know, let's talk about this, think about it for a few days and hit it in practice. Like, just seems senseless.
The quicker the Jags move on from Urban Meyer, the better it is for Trevor Lawrence, and the better it is for the whole team, really. Because how do you as a player, as a coach and a player, from a player's point of view, you sit there and have this guy talk to you now, and it doesn't matter what he says from here on in. You don't have any respect for any of the words that are coming out of his mouth.
No. How could it get worse, do you reckon?
And he must know that.
How is it worse? How could it get worse that he gets fired? I can't think of
anything. It can't. No, it can't be.
They keep losing. They probably will keep losing, but
you know.
Because one of the other things that we did talk about last week, and I know we're using a lot of time up on the Jags, but when I was sort of criticizing Trevor Lawrence a little bit, you quite rightly said, but hang on, the receivers are just not completing their routes. They're running their routes.
They must have more drop balls than any other team. They have to. From watching, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I watch all the games, and just by watching the games, mate, the first 2 weeks, mate, I reckon half of the balls were hitting the ground.
Yeah, and so that also comes down to coaching, I think. Like, anyway, lots of problems at the Jags. Campy's quite right. That's like 10% of our show on the Jags. Enough. Enough. We've got our first London game this week. And we didn't have international games last year. And it's your Falcons, G. With their star player, Ridley Patterson.
A Ridley-less Falcons. I'm trying to think, who do I start? Cordell Patterson, you obviously start. I'm trying to think, who else would you start? And I can't think of anybody.
When do the wheels fall off? CPAT.
Maybe he's just going to have one of these years. Maybe some players just have that 1 year where they're great, and maybe this is just his year on this team. I don't know why he picked this team. He's played on better football teams than this.
Yeah, but
this might just be that 1 year that everything just seems to fall just right.
But if you give a guy like that, who's got a pretty unique skill set, like he's fast, he's got good hands, he's a good route runner. Like, he does have skills, but he's never really,
without a doubt,
he's never really been pummeled with targets. He's never really had a specific role. You know, the Vikings didn't really use him that well.
This something he had a few problems with.
True. Yeah. But obviously Arthur Smith's smart enough to think, well, if you give him enough volume, he's going to make a couple of big plays within a game, and that's enough.
Is he our Derrick Henry?
Well, why not?
Well, I'm thinking Arthur Smith. What's one thing that never got used at the Titans? What position?
I want to play a little bit,
That never got used at the Titans.
Yeah, tight end.
Tight end. Oh, true.
We draft this. You know, we draft Pitts, not using the tight end. Whether that's, I think some of that's on Pitts himself.
Sure.
And then he's using Cordero Patterson as a running back like he used Derrick Henry. How did we not see this coming? It's obvious.
Now
we all thought it might have been Mike Davis, but we all know Mike Davis isn't Henry, but Cordero Patterson, okay, is size, maybe overall size they're the same because Patterson's obviously taller.
Yes,
but he's using Patterson like Henry.
Yeah,
with a few more gadgets, obviously, because he can catch the ball and whatnot. But
yeah, ironically, Cordarrelle Patterson could be spoken about tonight.
Oh, could he really? Not by me, maybe, but one of you two guys might bring him up, and obviously AJ's going to bring him up because he.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
But it's funny because maybe the fact that he's having a little bit of success now disqualifies him from what our topic is.
No,
but it probably doesn't, because how many years has he been in the league now? This is the first time he's had any value.
Yes.
And if you drafted him
with the value that he came in, yes,
yeah,
you
held him.
Did I? I was listening to an someone was talking about this. Was it a couple of weeks ago? And he was like maybe a second round or first round draft picks in startup leagues. A second round.
Oh yeah,
guy.
Second round. Yeah.
So for what he's giving you for a second round guy in dynasty leagues, you're probably not too happy, because I doubt you'd still own him now. Really?
Oh no, I wouldn't think so. So, what's the topic for the season?
Well, hence why I had the dark glasses on and the cards. Right? I had look tonight. I was looking up, because we're in week 5 and we're doing the theme every week. So I had to look up, what number 5 represents. So I thought, well, what does number 5 represent in gambling? And I just have to see what I actually sent you two guys, so I know exactly myself. So there's a bet called, on the roulette table, it's called a 5-bet. Now, I have absolutely no idea, because I am not a gambler. The closest I come to gambling is I pull the handle on the pokey, and that's I don't play the pokies because that's...
Oh, good, I was going to say.
Don't
do that.
Mate, that's all I know. And I know 21, but I don't know, like, you should fold on this and hold on this. No idea. But there's a bet 5 on the roulette table, which I read is the worst bet that you can make. So I thought, well, okay, so week 5, what we could do, we'll bring, because everything's a gamble. Noah, could you just keep it down a bit? Your dad's, this is very important, dude. So I thought week 5, we're going to bring our 5 worst gambles, because all draft picks are a gamble and trades are a gamble as well. So our 5 worst to the table.
Nice.
Tonight. So we're going to own what we have done.
And so as we do that, I might just link in the games that maybe these players, or like the teams they were drafted for or whatever, I just might mention them in passing. So we just sort of link in some week 5 matches.
Yes, and there's no draft because we probably have totally different players, so there's no need. I don't think we're going to have too much crossover in this, I hope, because we all probably have, from playing with you guys, we all have sort of different tastes in the type of player that we like.
Mate, there's a lot of Vikings wide receivers that we could be talking about here. And we've already mentioned one.
See you back. Okay, so Ben?
I'm kicking it off, am I?
Yeah, kick it off.
Yes.
Mate.
Well, it's funny because when G mentioned this, he was like, all time, you know, you go back as far as you want. And I was like,
as far as we've been playing fantasy.
And I was like, well, that's about 2015 for me. So, so I was like, well, that's fair enough. But, well, I'm going to start with a guy who, look, seemed like, and they all seem like the safe bet, don't they?
Oh, yes.
So I'd been, you know, I'd been a big fan of the NFL probably for a few years back in England, watched it a lot, but never played fantasy. It wasn't really a thing back in England. And then came out here and, here for a couple of years and realized, you know, the fantasy scene is massive. You know, started listening to a few podcasts, some really good podcasts, and then you guys. And then...
Mate, fair.
And then... So my first year, right? So it's 2015 was the first year that I started doing dynasty drafts, that kind of thing. I did 4 that year, and in 3 of them I took this guy in the first round. All right. He was in college. He was an absolute beast. He was drafted by the Packers in 2013.
Don't tell us his name. Give us all the information, mate. Let's have a
second round pick out of Alabama. His first year in the league, he was the offensive rookie of the year, 1,178 yards on the ground, 11 touchdowns. And the second year, so 2014, again, 1,000-yard season, 9 touchdowns, drafted by the Packers. Obviously, Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, I was going to say Eddie Lacy. Woohoo! Got
it. So you know, I'm thinking, right? Well, from the minimal bits I know, Alabama, good. You know, absolutely tore it up in college, great. With the Packers at that time, obviously, you know, were probably more in their prime than they have been in the last few years.
When they had receivers,
Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. You know, and obviously Lacy had just come off the back of those 2 massive seasons. So took him in every 3 out of 4 drafts. So then the first year he only played 12 games, got an ankle injury. Still went for 600 odd yards, but the second half of the year was basically a write-off. And then, obviously, the next 2 years between 2016 and 2017, he only played 8 games total, didn't get more than 400 yards in each of those years, and was out of the league by the end of 2017. The last I heard of him, he had a tryout with the Ravens in 2019. But couldn't fit through the door of the stadium to actually. Well, I mean, I feel like I was unlucky, but at the same time, knowing what I know now, when you've got a guy the size of Eddie Lacy who basically sat on the couch for the off season, you know, all those variables.
What was he eating? What didn't he bring out that he was eating something while he was sitting on the couch? There's something he kept eating all the time, like some type of, was it, we know the Skittles thing with Marshawn Lynch, but wasn't he eating something he couldn't give up? It was some type of sweet, and he just, no matter how hard he tried. But I do remember the year that everything went wrong for him. Didn't they have like the Packers? They no.
There was an Eddie Lacy diet or something.
Yeah, but didn't he ride? They had something where he rode in on some kid's bike. They were doing something for kids, and they rode in on a bike. I reckon that's the only bit of exercise that he'd done pre-season. It was right, and it was like looking at that Kelvin Benjamin photo that made him look like, you know, like the dad from Family Guy. You know, like he just looks shocking.
Well,
but he's not a small bloke to start off with, so he's obviously someone. No,
neither is Derrick Henry, right? So you're thinking,
yeah.
And I remember doing all the stats, right? So I was just doing all the stats, getting all my picks right, done, and then I did all my drafts, and then I was like getting ready for the season. I was like, I'll just Google, you know, what some of these guys have been up to, and I came across this YouTube video of Eddie Lacy, and it was like he'd gone to like a logging place in like near Green Bay, and he was chopping wood, and I was looking at him going, he's like twice the size of last year. Like, and then he was like, they were asking him, what do you do with your time up in this area? And he's like, yeah, I don't really have any hobbies. I don't really know.
Anything.
Alarm bells starting to ring at this point, like you're just wondering, oh God. So
the wildlife population dropped. Why is that there, maybe? I don't know. That's good.
When you give up the first round, when you give first round pick like that in dynasty leagues for a running back, and he's out of the league by the third season, that sets you back massively,
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Well, I'm you brought up someone that you picked up who'd already started. All the guys that I talked about tonight are guys that I picked up straight out of college that I thought were going to be burners, but there we go. Yeah. AJ, who have you got?
I've done the same thing actually. I've gone for all rookies.
Yeah, mine were all rookies.
Now, that game, Green Bay this week is at Cincinnati, by the way.
Great.
So I'm going to use that to inform my pick. So I'm going to pick a player who actually is playing this week. So I can outdo you because my guy's still in the league. This doesn't make it a good pick.
Do you still own him in any leagues?
No, I do not. But once upon a time, I owned him in lots of leagues.
Are we staying at running back here, AJ?
Yes, we are.
I know who it is, I think.
It's a guy who I believe is starting. He might actually be starting this week. Wow. His time has come, and it's like, 4 years too late. But I'm talking about Samaje Perine, who I was very, very high on.
It was off kickoff.
2017 class. You better tell Noah to be quiet. Throw something at him.
I need to be that guy, what was one of the Wolverine movie with the guy that flicks the cards?
Oh, that's right.
No, I don't want you doing it to me, mate. Just 16-year-olds, mate. What do you do?
Samaje Perine. Look, I was very, very high on him coming out, and I did have quite a lot of stock of him. And interestingly, I've done this for all of my picks. This was in our 2017 rookie draft in one of our first dynasty league that we ran. Aussie Guys won that dynasty league.
No, that was running way before 2017 because I went back at. Oh, okay.
I know.
That's been going for 10 years. Oh, that was in the rookie draft of that year.
This is the rookie draft of 2017.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is not a super flex league. It's just a normal one quarterback league. But I just thought it'd be interesting to give you some context. I drafted Samaje Perine at the 201. So I didn't pay a first rounder, I guess.
Not far off it.
Not far off the 201. But I thought you'd be interested to hear who went in the second round.
Yeah, please. So give us some names.
At the 206 was a player you might know called Patrick Mahomes. At the 207, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, hold on. Patrick Mahomes, I didn't take him with my first pick.
No.
I obviously didn't have a pick in that first round because I would have taken Patty Mahomes.
You probably would have. Yeah, he went 206.
Because I usually trade away my first in that league.
Yeah. So anyway, he didn't. It's only a one quarterback league, so that kind of explains it. But still,
no, it's not. Aussie Ones is a 2 quarterback league, mate.
Are you sure?
Super flex. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I've been cheating because I've been starting Kyler Murray and Josh Allen a fair bit.
Okay. Well, then it's a 2 quarterback. Well, how on earth did Patty Mahomes go 206?
Because no one knew. No one knew Patty Mahomes. Well, someone said something, but
Juju at 207. Yep. At 209 was a young lad called Marshawn Lynch. He had quite a career. You might remember. At 302.
In rookie?
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? That must have been
that's when he retired, I think.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, that must have been when he was retired and coming back.
Oh, so someone picked him up using...
Someone picked him up in the rookie draft. But 302, Cooper Kupp.
302.
Yeah.
Oh, who was that?
Wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Right. Damn.
Yeah, so Samaje Perine.
Nice
My
pick.
first.
Nice pick. Excellent. Okay, well, I'll give you a rookie, and I'll describe him, and you try and guess who it is.
Okay.
Okay. This is a Wikipedia description of him, and I won't say his name, obviously.
All right. ...
is a former arena wide receiver and convicted felon. Okay.
This is half the guys in the league, mate. You're narrowing it down.
Went undrafted in 2014, signed with the Packers,
Yeah.
had a family night practice before the season. He tore his PCL and his MCL, was placed on IR, and then waived with an injury. He got an injury settlement payout. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, fantasy profile. These are his what do they call percentiles? Hutchie, I picked up Mahomes at 408.
Oh.
And our lead was AJ.
Oh.
It's not a league I'm playing in, Hutchie, obviously.
Man.
Okay, this is fantasy profile. Have you ever been on the site that gives you all that? So, okay, he's 40. He's 40 dash, 89th percentile.
Yep.
Speed score, 82 percentile. His burst, 97.
Yep.
Agility, 96th. And catch radius, 97th. He was actually, they always put a comparison, and he was compared to Dennis Pitta. So if you got him and compared him to Dennis Pitta when Dennis Pitta was at his best, when he's having barbecues with, what's his name? He's still at Flacco and his family. I think there was a bit of wife swapping going on, but that's just a lot of weird things, allegedly. And he came out of Oregon.
Yes.
So
it is.
I was all
Colt Laela.
Yes, all over him. Like, I didn't pay anything for him because no one went and picked him up. But it's not the fact that I took him in the first or second. I probably took him in the fourth round because no one else went and grabbed him. But it's the fact that I picked him up in every league that I had, that he was available, because I thought, mate, if you go and watch his highlight tape, you thought, mate, this guy is going to be something in the NFL. And then you see the pool jump. We've just spoken about before on this podcast, where he jumps waist high deep in water in a pool. Plus the pool's used, the water's usually that far below the top, and he jumps out of the pool. And there's also another video I found today actually where he does a 62-inch box jump.
Wow.
Just crazy athletic. But yeah, too many off-field issues. And I've found when I'm going through these guys that I've picked to talk about today, there's a few guys that I do like that have off-field issues coming into the NFL. I like to have a good, there's a feel-good story about that someone makes that I pick. But obviously there's been a fair few that haven't. But yeah, he's the first one who never actually scored a fantasy point.
No.
But yeah,
despite his speed and agility, he could not evade the police.
No. Well, no. He's probably so out of it at the time. He probably had no idea what was going on. But anyway, that's my first one. That's my first one. So back to you, Ben.
Cool. The next one is why don't I throw in my trade, because it's a particularly I guess I'm still recovering, I guess I could say. So I think I was a replacement in your Aussie Guys 5 league. So very deep league, start 2 tight ends, IDP all the way. I think I took over a team that sort of finished, I think 4th or 5th the year before, and I got to the playoffs, and I was thinking, right, well, I've got enough here that I could potentially win this thing, and got to the semi-final, but before that, I thought, right, I don't really have anyone at tight end. That was my big weakness. And I just thought, you know what?
I'll give it a miracle.
First year in the league, let's flex the muscles. Let's show them how good I am. So I traded 2 first-round picks. So I got a second back though. So like I'll keep that in mind. Got a second back for the next year, but I did trade away 2 first-round picks, and I picked up Rob Gronkowski, who at that time was, the last. So this was his last year with the Patriots. So, you knew he was going to be productive. He was, looking like, all right, this guy could potentially win me the whole thing this year. Yeah, I knew it was probably going to be maybe, in another 2 years or another year, I might be, having to replace him. But if I got a win now, great. And then I can think about that later. So I lost in the semi-final by 3 points. And then he retired. So I dropped him because that's what I did. And obviously now if somebody else picked him up in the league, he's now scoring loads of points for somebody else. I literally threw away 2 first-round picks for a 5-game rental, who then retired. So I dropped him, and he's now he's still currently the number 1 tight end in fantasy league for 2021. So that serves me right.
So what we're working out here is you're not too good doing trades so far.
Well, I don't think we should base that on this.
No, mate, I've got plenty of players if you want to give away 2 first round picks, mate. So
yeah.
We've all got bad trades.
We've all got bad. I've got a couple of players here, which we won't get to. So I'll just quickly talk about. These are guys that I looked on some of the teams, and I've gone through my years, who are 2 guys that are no longer on my team. One of them is Stefan Diggs.
Right.
And the other one's Robert Woods. Now, if I both had those on my team now, with what I've got, I just began. No, I don't know what I traded them away for. I might have got something that I thought at the time was good. But when you look at them, especially Stefan Diggs now, it's like, I would have traded him when he was at Buffalo, obviously. But,
I mean, he was a 5th-round pick. I mean, he was a 5th-round pick. I don't think anybody would have envisaged where he is now, right?
No.
So no. What was the bad thing, G? Was it that you traded him away after you picked him?
I seem to have a habit of getting rid of people, and then they come
too
early. A couple of years. Yeah. So, AJ, who's your second? Sorry, we're keeping you up, mate.
Let's go. Let's go to the 2015 rookie draft. This is again in our Aussie Guys 1 league. So I had the 104. 101, Melvin Gordon. 102, Amari Cooper. Nice pick there. Nice pick. Mm-hmm. 103, this wasn't my pick, but a bust. Kevin White. Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
And at 104,
Todd Gurley's still on the board.
I was surprised because Todd Gurley was still on the board. So naturally, my pick was Devontae Parker. Because I was super high on Parker. He was my favorite. Well, Amari Cooper was my favorite wide receiver in that class, closely followed by Devontae Parker. And I mean, Devontae Parker is still playing. Sorry?
Who's your favorite?
Amari.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, Kevin White was close behind. Like, Kevin White was a pretty well accepted number 2 in that class, But Devontae Parker, who actually is still playing today, let's be fair. But
and he has given you 1 good year.
Yeah. But if I had done the chalk pick and picked Todd Gurley, even though he is out of the league, he did have a couple of cracking years.
Yes.
And, it's fair to say people won championships on the back of Todd Gurley, even though it was a very short-lived career. That was a dumb pick. That was incredibly dumb. And also, it's not dumb at the time, is it really? Because you think he's going to be something.
Like,
Yeah, no, but
I'm not going to
you
call
should-
my pick. I'm not going to call my picks dumb. It's just these are the ones I blew.
Well, over Todd Gurley, that was a bit silly.
Yeah, I haven't
because,
Todd Gurley problem.
I even knew that. And like a couple of other picks in that draft, again, I wouldn't have picked these guys at 104.
But then again,
That's just
Todd Gurley was coming back from the ACL injury.
He was.
So let's
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
But at 208 in that draft, Tyler Lockett.
You got
and-
Tyler Lockett.
No, I didn't. No, somebody did at 208.
I did.
Did you? It might have been you.
Yeah, because I traded him to you maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was you. I didn't note who did it. And
Yeah.
get this one at the 405 in this draft, 2017, Stephon Diggs.
That wasn't it. Oh, that must have been me. Because
Really?
I don't. Well, yeah, he's on. This is where I got my players from, or maybe I
Maybe it
traded.
is. If you're talking
Yeah.
about trading
Yes.
Stephon Diggs. Yeah, 405.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll
Anyway,
take.
Devontae Parker. But I mean, Parker's playing.
He's still playing.
Speaking of which, so Miami at Tampa Bay this week. Hard to pick a winner in this game. That's sarcasm for anyone who doesn't realize it's sarcasm. Poor Miami. Their
Wheels
running
falling
game
off,
looks
aren't
bad.
Mm.
Their quarterback play is bad. Their defense.
Mate,
It's
the
not
wheels,
good.
the wheels weren't attached at the beginning of the season. They haven't fallen off. Someone didn't put them on at the start of the season.
Yeah, and playing a team which is the opposite in every way.
Yep.
A team that is solid from front to back across all three teams, all three aspects of the game. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But anyway.
Upset.
Yeah. Miami at Tampa Bay. Campy's just saying the Lions. Yeah, they couldn't pick a wide receiver to save themselves for a bit of a period there.
But not the only team, mate. The Patriots can't do it either. So
No, very true. Anyway, G, you give us another one.
okay, my next one. Okay, 6'4", 211 pounds. Has scored, however, 348 fantasy points.
Really?
Why in the league? Yes.
Over 10 years? Or?
No. How many years is that? Maybe 4. So you think that's okay, but when you break it down, it's not a lot.
Okay.
104, 120, 82, and 26. That might not be. This is PPR, okay?
Okay.
His player profile, his measurables, 40-yard, 89th percentile. Speed scored 96. Burst 84, agility 38. Well, he's 6'4", so he's a big guy, but I think he proved that a bit wrong once he hit the league. Catch rate is 95th percentile. Drafted out of Clemson in the 4th round, the 18th pick of the 4th round, 118th overall. Let's have a look here. His best fantasy score was week 6 versus the Cardinals. 137 yards, 2 DDs, 32.5 fantasy points, and then only caught 9 more TDs for the next 4 seasons. So his first season, he caught 8 TDs, and then for the next 4 rounds, he caught 9.
That's
So
pretty good. What a good first season.
Great first season, and then bust. Total bust. He was drafted.
You enjoyed him for a season.
I enjoyed him for 1 season. Yep.
What year was this?
He was drafted in
2017, it sounds.
I haven't actually written down when he got drafted. It probably the same year that Sammy Watkins came out. He was in the same draft as Sammy Watkins.
Oh yeah.
So 2015, maybe?
15, yeah, 15.
He happened to play on the same team as Sammy Watkins, and this is how I came across who he was. When I was watching film on Sammy Watkins, I saw this guy and said, bloody hell, this guy's good.
Yes.
He's been suspended for substance abuse. Then he put back on. He was when he came back. He was then bitched and moaned about his role.
Yep.
Skipped mandatory meetings. He wanted to be traded. He was traded to the Raiders for a 3rd round pick.
Yep.
Then he was placed on injured reserve. Then he got suspended again for the drug policy. Then he went to the Toronto, Argonauts, where he was then and then he was suspended from there. And last I saw, he was trying out for the Massachusetts Pirates in Arena League.
His name escapes me. I know exactly who it is. His name escapes me. Ben, can you help me? Do you know who it is? I'm
trying to think. Like, just the Raiders. I'm trying to think of because they just haven't had the receivers. So
I don't even know if he played. He might have played a handful of games for the Raiders.
Hardly anything. I remember the hoopla around the well, there was quite a bit of buzz around the signing. Like, this is his chance to kind of resurrect his career.
Yeah,
you know?
His name is Martavius Bryant.
Martavius Bryant.
That's
yeah,
of
course.
Mate, another guy that I went, mate. I grabbed him where I took him. I don't know, but I took him everywhere.
Yep.
And I got first season. A great first season, which was, what was it? I was only 549 yards, but 8 TDs. And we thought, okay, this guy, and what he showed, some of the freaky things he did.
I got Palais, bro.
And then it was just poof, gone. Another guy with a few off-field issues.
Yes.
So my trend has begun. And all to do with
such a beautiful theme that you're bringing to this, Jim.
Yes. Get vaccinated. That's what I'm saying. These guys, no. All right, Ben, back to you.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the 2017 draft as well. So this guy in the rookie drafts that year, his average kind of ADP for the rookie drafts was at 109, and we previously talked about my issues with tight ends. So this is another tight end, and I needed to make a splash here. He was picked 19th overall out of Alabama. He sort of flashed in his first 2 seasons. First season, he scored 5 TDs as a rookie, finished as the tight end 18. And then in 2018, he had 7 TDs as a rookie, finished as the tight end 12. So not too bad. First 2 years, you think, okay, I did pick him at 109 in the rookie draft that year. I was probably going to fail anyway because it was either him or Samaje Perine I was going to pick. So, you think I've dodged a bullet, but I haven't.
Man,
this guy is actually still with the same team that drafted him.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
That's correct. OJ Howard. And obviously, after those first 2 seasons, probably, as the big body can tell you, that couldn't keep up with the pace of the NFL. Lots of injuries, which resulted in a torn Achilles at the start of last year. Which, I mean, anybody coming back from a torn Achilles, it's pretty hard. And a big tight end is probably the last person. But the Bucs still exercised his 5th-year option, which was nice of them because he's not currently doing anything at all. He's not really featuring in that offense. So, for a 109, I think it's pretty disastrous. And I don't know why I keep picking tight ends, but there's only probably 1 or 2 tight ends that have won people leagues over the last couple of years, and we all probably know who those 2 guys are. I just feel like guys like that, it's really interesting. I think I've learned from those first few years. To pick a tight end in the first round of a rookie draft is a very, very risky business. And
who'd do that? It's a mug game, isn't it?
So let's come to 2021, shall we, Jim?
No, but to be with OJ Howard, to be fair, okay, you went and picked him up, which people were saying of his credentials and how good he could be off a very, very small, limited sample of what he did at Alabama. He just wasn't used as a receiving tight end. He was on the field, he was blocking more, but the little snippets that we saw, people thought, hey, this guy could be something compared to the other tight ends in the class that had done a lot more. Like tight ends, most tight ends in college don't do a hell of a lot, really.
Yeah.
And his sample size was so small, really, before he came out, and that's why everybody based on this guy could be. Look what he can do when he actually catches the ball, but again, we're looking at college, and this is not the NFL.
Yes.
Well, and the other factor, G, that year in particular, which made me, go with Howard rather than Pirine, was who was throwing him the ball. It was second year. Like Jameis Winston had just come off 2 years of throwing back-to-back 4,000 yards seasons. With first year 22 TDs, 15 interceptions. Second year 28 TDs, 18 interceptions. So people were very high on Winston, I think, there, thinking, well, if he can just cut down the, 2 years now, rookie year, second year, if he can just cut down the interceptions, he'll be fine. We all know what happened there.
But I was going to say, there was also the other half of the people that said, mate, if you keep throwing TDs, it doesn't matter if you keep throwing interceptions, it doesn't matter how many TDs you throw, mate, you're not going to be long in this league.
Yeah. Because
you can't just turn the ball over like that. So,
and that 2017 season was the beginning of the end for Winston. Really started to go downhill. But it's amazing how I think some of these guys that I was thinking about, I look back and I'm like, why did I? But then you look at the situation and it makes more sense at the time.
Yeah, we'll do that, mate. We'll be doing this. We could do this in 3 years' time and still be making the same mistakes. Everybody does. Well, at least we're owning up to it. A lot of people in this realm of fantasy don't own up to. They are very quiet, sweep them underneath the rug, so to speak. The ones they got wrong. AJ,
not many replies on Twitter, AG.
No.
Let me take you guys to the 2016 draft.
Mm-hmm.
It was a draft. Oh, see if you can tell me. Who do you reckon went 101 2016 rookie draft? It's a good player.
In what league? Anybody's league.
Any league.
He would have been overall number one.
Every league.
Which one is 2016?
This would have happened. He was a consensus 101.
Is this the year? Is this the Jared Goff year?
I think it is the Jared Goff year.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I have to look up.
He wasn't the 101 though.
No, he wasn't. But I just remember in that year, because it was probably one of my first years where I was thinking about doing a dynasty league. That obviously there was the two quarterbacks that were Goff and Wentz that were the big things. But
here's a super obvious one. If you were 101, it was chalk.
It was Zeke, right?
Zeke. This was the Zeke year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, G.
No, that's fine, mate. How could you not pick Zeke?
I know. Yeah, it was chalk,
the championship game was just it was superb.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you two picks. I had the 103 and the 106, and both of them disastrous. Both of them. For the 103, I went with one of your favorites, Ben, Laquan Treadwell.
Derrick Henry came out in that as well.
Yes, he did.
Second round.
Laquan Treadwell at 103. I was smiling like the Cheshire Cat. I thought I had the guy. I was so wrapped, the number one wide receiver in this class, Laquan Treadwell. And then at 106, my Smokey, Mate, it was probably a reach, but I was so high on this guy. I thought, man, this guy is a running back. This guy is going to set the league on fire. This guy is elusive.
So Zeke's gone.
Zeke's gone. Yeah. He's drafted by the Ravens.
Oh, drafted by the Ravens.
Yeah.
Mm.
Was he originally drafted by the Ravens? Yeah, he must have been. That's right, I'm sure. I thought this guy is going to absolutely elusive, amazing route runner, elusive like a terrier. This guy, good hands. I am, of course, talking about Kenneth Dixon.
Oh,
I had a few shares of this guy for sure.
Oh man, his plane never took off. Well, Laquan Treadwell's plane never took off either.
no.
I'll give you a bit of a sampling of the picks that were to come after my two.
Was Laquan Treadwell sort of like the spruce goose? You know, what they sort of went from like 40 feet off the ground for
That's pretty good. The spruce goose.
At
the 107, immediately after my Kenneth Dixon pick, Michael Thomas. Also in the first round at 110, Derrick Henry.
I didn't pick I didn't pick Michael Thomas up in that draft either. I think I had him as like maybe my number 6 wide receiver in that class. And I think when it came to my pick, if I remember, he was still on the board, but guys in my top 5 were still there. So
yeah, and look, I could have kept going, but I did write down that the 202 Tyler Boyd. That's quite a nice pick. But how about these two in the 6th round, G? In the 6th, Ben. 601, Dak Prescott.
Oh.
And at the 602, Robert Woods.
So that must have been me because I had Robert Woods.
Did you? Yeah, okay.
Yes. But I didn't have Dak Prescott, so no.
I mean, Dak wasn't anyone, really. He was it felt like a wasted pick almost.
Well, mate, the Robert Woods pick by me would have just been, well, who do I name that I recognise? We're in the 6th round.
Yeah, but look, you don't.
And that was Buffalo as well. He landed in Buffalo, which at the time you were like,
oh yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah. You said no way, no.
Yeah,
but look, usually when you think you've got the 103 and the 106 in a rookie draft, you think, man, am I going to absolutely clean up here? I'm going to get 2 top-tier players.
One of them's bound to hit.
One of them's bound to hit. It does actually make a strong argument for trading picks. Because if there's a 50% hit rate, maybe it's bigger than that in the first round. I don't know. But let's be really conservative and say it's a 50% hit rate. Aren't you better to trade your picks for known talent?
Yeah, but I think people are a lot more wiser about what they give away now.
True.
Like it takes you more than the first pick to get a good player now. It's plus.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think people over the last 4 or 5 years have really started to. The more dynasties taken off, well, since we've been playing, it's got bigger. I mean, people are far wiser.
It's cheaper, isn't it? Like you could have drafted Justin Jefferson with a first-round pick. If you wanted to wait to see what he was and then trade for him, well, it's going to cost you more than a first rounder. Yeah. So there's that. But I'd kind of argue, like, I don't know.
Better the devil you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my next guy.
Yep.
5'8", 205 pounds.
5'8".
5'8".
Yeah.
College career. 813 carries. 4,588 yards. 5.6 a click. 39 touchdowns.
Ooh,
73 receivers for 690 yards and 7 TDs. Got drafted in the 2nd round. 54th overall. I won't tell you the team. He was the 4th running back taken in the 2015 draft. As far as his highlights go, that was probably his highlight of his career, was being drafted the 4th overall. Players also taken before him were Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, TJ Yeldon. There's another bust, but I never had TJ Yeldon. Players taken after him at the same position: Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, David Johnson, Mike Davis, J.J. If it wasn't for the knee, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Total fantasy points to date at 264.9. His best season was 2017, where he scored 99.4, which is like, geez, mate, he'd probably never make it onto your roster on a given week. His best fantasy week, however, week 1, 2016 versus the Colts, 23 fantasy points. He rushed for 63 yards, no touchdowns, 57 yards receiving on 5 targets for 1 touchdown. That's his best game ever in the NFL.
Man.
Drafted profiler, 40-yard dash, 47th percentile. Speed, 33 percentile. Burst, 98.
Whoa.
Agility, 99.
Wow.
Who am I?
Yeah.
I got no idea.
Come on. I got
What
the
was the year
tattoo.
again?
I got
Year
the
again?
tattoo. 2015. He's still playing. He's still in the league.
Is he?
He was drafted by the Detroit Lions.
Oh, it's Fear Amir.
Amir Abdullah.
That
Wow.
first game, or was it just a preseason game? That really cracking one. Actually, he had a really good preseason game, and the hype went through the roof.
Yeah, his 2016 game was the first with week 1. It was like, oh my mate, I just couldn't. But this guy's just look how explosive he's. Just, mate, there's games on his college. It's just like, mate, no one can put a hand on this bloke.
No.
And he had that week 1, and then from there that was done. It was finished.
Oh
He's
man.
still running around the league. How I don't know, to be honest. Maybe
with the Vikings.
Yeah, he's with the Vikings.
Is he? Oh yes, he is. You're
He's
right.
been with the Vikings for 3 years, mainly doing punt returns, kickoff returns.
Right.
So
Apparently,
Man, he looks good.
Apparently, he's a fantastic pro. He's like amazing in the dressing room, amazing like work ethic, all that kind of stuff. But whoever put burst 98th percentiles probably, wants to take that one.
You take that one away. Yeah, but it is another guy. I don't know where I'd draft him, but I would have drafted him quite high, I'd say. It wouldn't surprise me if he was a first round pick for me if I wasn't picking right at the top.
Yeah.
But that was another guy that I was just like so high on. That was just a complete nutter bust.
Incidentally, just kind of following on from both my pick and your pick, G, Detroit's at Minnesota this week as well.
Revenge game.
Yeah, well, Detroit just quietly have one of the best young running backs in the league,
Do you know Daniel Amendola?
in DeAndre Swift, who's looking fantastic.
Well, he's on a bust. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not a bust. And Jamal Williams, who tell me we saw this coming.
The old 1-2, mate.
Yeah, they were 1-2.
Yeah, good combo. All right, Ben.
Well, speaking of combos, I'll hit you with the 1-2 here. So let's go to 2016.
The Laquan Treadwell year.
Laquan Treadwell year. And look, I had 2 picks here. I had the 112 and the 201. So back to back picks. In this one, so started off, I'm thinking, wide receivers looking a bit light, and I remember because as a Vikings fan, I was actually pretty miffed that we picked Laquan Treadwell because I wanted the guy who went before him at pick 22, and he went to the Eagles. Out of TCU, he had 214 receptions, 3,177 yards across his 4 years at college, which included 34 TDs. But in his last 2 years, He had 25 TDs in his last 2 years. Josh Doxson.
He went to the Redskins.
Redskins. So I went to the Redskins.
Yes.
Ended up at the Eagles. So I ended up at the Eagles. And he's now still on the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. Actually ended up at the Vikings after the Eagles. Never really had 2 sort of middling seasons. Went for 502 yards in his second year, then 532 yards in his third year, 8 TDs, 5 in 1 year, 3 in another. Was cut in his 4th year by the Redskins, so that was point 1 of the combo disaster. Point 2 of the combo, might as well give up. Christian Hackenberg, quarterback out of Penn State, was the fifth best quarterback ranked in that draft that year, I was a young dynasty player. Please be gentle with me. This is a time I needed to get this out to the world. The last thing I heard about Christian Hackenberg, thanks to Wikipedia as well, last seen in 2019 in the AAF. Remember the AAF?
Oh, yeah.
Played for the Memphis Express. In his first game, he completed 10 passes out of 23 for 87 yards and 2 interceptions before being pulled in the 4th quarter in a 26-0 loss against the Birmingham Iron. He then combined for 32 of 62 in his next 2 games with 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. And in the 4th game, he was replaced permanently by Zach Mettenberger, and has not been seen since.
Man,
mate, he just pulled that rock over him and said, "Man, I'm never coming back out." I'm just looking at that draft. You're talking about the wide receiver with Josh Doxson. This is just a disaster of a first round for wide receivers. Cleveland Browns at 15 overall took Corey Coleman.
Yep.
The Houston Texans took Will Fuller. Now, whether or not you say Will Fuller's not a bust, but Will Fuller's a bust.
Well,
he hasn't been on the park. No. Josh Doxson went the next pick at pick 22, and then Laquan Treadwell went at pick 23. And then after that, Sterling Shepard was the next one taken at pick 40 overall. So at least someone decent came out of that, followed by then Michael Thomas at pick 47.
Oh, what was the big, like sometimes you choose not to listen to the alarm bells, and we really should listen to the alarm bells. The Laquan Treadwell one was he didn't want to run his 40. Was that it? He didn't run. He went to the combine, but he didn't do the drills or something silly.
Okay. No.
Was it something like that? He just refused to do the drills, which makes you just go, what? Do you remember, Ben, what that was?
I think it was exactly that he refused to do. It was because he was a senior, if you remember as well, so he was worried about getting hurt, I think. But to back up, you said that it was bad for wide receivers. Well, let's not forget about the quarterbacks in that draft as well, because, like I said, so that he was the 5th ranked one that year. The other 4 had gone before the 201, so they all went in the 1st round. So these were the 4 quarterbacks that went in the 1st round. Jared Goff, you would have to admit he's a bust.
Still starting
quarterback, right? Yeah,
starting, but not, he's on the line. Yeah. Carson Wentz,
still starting.
Still start. You had that 1 year probably where you probably did very well.
So here we go. Yep.
So the other 2, can you even guess the other 2 that went before Christian Hackenberg in the 2016?
No.
Paxton Lynch.
Oof. Yeah.
Which everybody was very high up. Like, I remember just the fantasy community were pretty high on.
Mate, excellent Xbox player.
Yeah.
And the guy that went the pick, the 111 in this draft. Nice one, Hutchie. 111 in this draft. To the Cleveland Browns. Cody Kessler.
Oh, Cody Kessler. Man, and you know what?
So if those four had have gone in the first round of that dynasty draft, I mean the wide receivers went in the first round as well. Show us your pictures of those first rounds from 2000.
Yeah, they would have to be.
I tell you, there's a fair number of draft picks. If we went back through drafts, fair number. I don't know. I don't know if the grumpy Lifton medic is on deck tonight, but man, the Browns would feature very heavily. Man, they've made some clunkers.
Don't upset him. He's in a good mood. The Browns this year put him in a good mood, mate. Don't be upsetting him. Exactly right, mate. It's the only reason they took that, because they couldn't get Paxton Lynch.
Yeah.
And big game this week, actually, Chargers Browns. Hey, a quick trivia question of which will know the answer, but do you know the current team that's on the bottom of the AFC West?
Yeah, Chiefs.
It's the Chiefs.
Mate,
unbelievable.
One game, mate. There's just
I know, but who would have thought it? You would think if I had said coming into week 5 who'd be at the bottom of the AFC West, you would have said, Broncos.
Hey, mate, not for long, mate. They got Josh Flash Gordon there now. Things are going to change.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. No problem. What are we up to?
You.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I will let you talk about this player. I will be quick, right? I'll let you talk about this player because you were also very, very high on him. This is the 2018 rookie class.
2018?
2018. So pretty recent. No. I love this guy's hands. Wide receiver.
I've got him on my list. He's my last guy on my list.
There you go. Yeah, I drafted him at the 210. And this guy looked like your classic route runner, possession receiver, slot guy.
Right spot, right time, timing.
Exactly.
Everything was just knew where the hole was. Just
He's going to be a possession guy in this league. He's going to be amazing, and that is Mr.
Dante Pettis.
Dante Pettis.
Mate, he had the best. Mate, he's still got. I don't know what he looks like because he can't go in the park, but come out here, mate. His hands were so natural. Like, that's something he didn't have to practice. He was just born to catch a football. But yeah, what is he? 6.5, 180, drafted second round, 44th overall by the 49ers out at Washington.
Yep.
Mate, good stats, 163 receptions in college, 2,256 yards, 24 TDs. With the 4-season starter, so you're thinking, mate, that's 163. I don't know if he's had a lot for, or not many for a 4-year starter. NFL career, yeah, mate, it's just gone nowhere, has it? It really hasn't. His best week in fantasy football was week 13 against the Seahawks. So I didn't write down what week that was. Yeah, seven catches, 129 yards and 2 TDs, 29.7 fantasy points. And then you look at
a whole lot of us stood up and was like, "This is it.
This is it.
Here we go."
Mate, we just need a little spark. Just we had that, what is it, the 91 we run our cars on. You just need the 98 octane, and away he's going to go. But then you look at the profiler, and his 40 dash was 57th percentile. His speed was only 31st percentile, and his burst was only 64. So there's a few, but that's not what his game was.
No.
His game was that sort of being the right spot, the right time, good route runner, great hands. But yeah, he's with the Giants now, mate, and still not doing anything.
No.
I think there was a fair bit about his attitude too towards practice and really having to be a professional football player.
Oh yeah, it's something here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's an intangible for a lot of the prospects that we scout and we draft. Teams
We
have
don't
the
know.
same trouble.
Yeah, but they get to talk to them. We don't get to talk to them. We're just
Yeah.
doing from what we see and what we hear from other people. And you don't
But
know.
even
Round draft time, people are saying one thing because they don't want somebody else to go and get him. Whatnot. So who knows what to believe? But okay, my next player.
even if
Sorry.
you talk to them, I mean, teams make mistakes all the time.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah.
You never
Mate,
quite know what's in a guy's heart,
Yeah.
Sometimes guys get to the NFL and they just don't have the heart for it. Maybe they do it just because it's like the allure of I'm now a pro and I've got the big payday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might be a bit of a tick up from college. I get to do whatever I want. I don't have to study anymore.
Yeah.
So and they just. Okay, my next guy, 6'5", 237 pounds, drafted in the second round, picked 40 in the 2015 draft out of Missouri. Total fantasy points, 200.1. His best week was week 13 against the Jags, where he had 5 for 119 and a TD.
Ooh, nice.
He was a 5-star recruit out of Hillcrest High. He had a college career of 2 years, 25 games, 87 receptions, 1,278 yards and 17 TDs. NFL history, 68 receptions, 941 yards, 6 TDs. His player profile was 40-yard dash, 70th, speed, 99th percentile, burst 25, but he's a big guy, 237, 6'5". Agility wasn't great at 37. Catch radius was 65, and his player comp was Mark Heath Colston.
Okay. Did he fall in the? Oh no, you said he went in the second round, didn't you?
Pick 40 to the Titans, mate. He had a few issues coming into the draft, family stuff. Me and Matt Waldman spoke about it.
Double-barreled name?
Yes.
Green something?
Yeah, Dorial Green Beckham.
That's right.
Green Beckham, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I was going through all my teams. I had him across the board. Across the board. And just I don't know. Mate, I honestly don't want. He got drafted in 2015. He got traded in 2016 to the Eagles, and then he was waived in 2017.
Wow.
So it was just pretty much straight through the system.
Yep.
And out the other side. So that was another one that I was really high on. I just thought, mate, you couldn't outcatch this. You just look at his college, so, mate, and no one, no matter how big you were, it just high point the ball.
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
I make a lot of mistakes with big guys. I've noticed too. These are all tall dudes. So anyway,
it's hard. I mean, he had warning signs, and we knew there was a little bit of trouble that he had gotten into.
Yeah, there's off-field issues, but
there's off-field issues.
I've heard his story was pretty, like one of a hard road. So you thought, mate, so this guy's going to, mate, he's put up with a lot of stuff. All right, get to the NFL. If you can put up with that, in your personal life, put it behind you and get into the NFL, it's set you in good, but it just
always work that way.
Doesn't always work that way. Ben, your last guy.
Yeah, well, obviously, I kind of cheated a bit with the double dose last time, but this
Okay,
is
we'll move on to AJ. AJ?
No, I'm out because I gave Treadwell and I gave two in one. I gave Treadwell and Kenneth Dixon.
Yeah.
So I will mention. So this was 2017 rookie draft. Pick 401. Yeah. So 401. I picked Alvin Kamara, and I'm like,
wow, nice work.
Because he was a fifth round guy, I think he was, picked out of college. So I got him a week later.
Blew up
a week later.
He blew up the thing, didn't he?
Oh, you traded him.
I traded him for a second round pick in the 2018. So if you think about it, at the time, hadn't seen a minute of him in the NFL. Some guy's offering me a second round pick for a fourth round pick who at the time I was like, I like him, but he's a fourth round pick. Like, he's on my taxi squad for a few years, see what happens. The who I picked with the second round pick, which turned out to be the 201 in 2018.
Wow.
Josh Rosen.
Oh, that mate, I must admit that was one guy that I would have never have picked.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen. Holy dooly.
Oh my god. I just don't like I've been through my teams and I don't know how I ended up with the quarterbacks I've got. So I had to draft them somewhere, mate, but I have got lucky a hell of a lot, mate, because I have no idea about drafting quarterbacks. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, when I looked back and thought, I could see my thinking of why I did it. It was a super flex league. I only had really one quarterback, and that was a choice. But
obviously, the guy that gave you the second round pick watched the combine because he blew up the combine.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. I've been thinking while you've been going, you've been spouting the stats, for each of the 40-yard dash and all that kind of thing. And they make such a big thing of it on the coverage, right? When you're doing it, they have all the stats and all the thing. And you're like, about 2 years later, you're like, man, do not look at those stats. Like when you see how people perform, it's like, why do people still look at those stuff? But
well, I'm going to give you some big ones here.
Okay,
my last guy.
Okay.
Now, if you don't get this, we've got some serious issues. I'll give you his fantasy profiler first, okay?
Okay.
His 40-yard dash, 99th percentile.
Wow.
Burst, 89th percentile. Catch radius, 97th. Speed score, 93rd.
Oof.
Agility, 86th. 6'5", 227 pounds. Drafted in the 4th round. 103 overall in the 2019 draft. The college game, 34 games, 110 receptions for 2,149 yards, 18 touchdowns. Fantasy points to date, 0. Best week 7, 1 target, no points. He did catch a TD, but I believe it was called back for maybe like offensive holding. In his first year, he was placed on IR for a broken hand. He was waived in 2020, the following year, signed to the practice squad of another team on September 18th. Then he got signed to the active roster 9 days later by another team. Who am I?
I'll tell you who it is.
Who is it?
Come on. Did another team even try him as tight end?
Yes, they might have tried him as tight end.
It's Hakeem Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, he was my number 1 wide receiver coming out in that draft. And again, mate, if he was available, I took him. But I don't think he was available. So it's not only my bust.
The first of the warning signs, because the fantasy community had him very high on. Everyone had him pretty high on their list.
Not everybody, but because a lot of people did. A lot of people say, how did you not see that coming? Where you're all the smart asses, never get anything wrong, do you? But anyway, go on.
Well, he dropped. That was a fall in the NFL draft. The Cards took him in the 4th round, right? And I don't know how many receivers went before him, but when we were watching the draft, we're thinking, okay, this is Hakeem Butler. What? And he just kept falling. So teams had obviously got a sense of something. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was in interviews with the guy. They just didn't like what they were hearing. Maybe he's sort of like football intelligence or something. I don't know what it was.
I'm just having a look, see if it actually shows me. Oh, no, it doesn't show me where the receivers went. I'm just looking on my phone to see who went,
before him.
Yeah. But in that class coming out, I wish I could see if someone could tell me who was in that class. But I do remember the thing I liked about him the most is he was the most complete wide receiver. He could go the deep ball. He could do crossing route. He could work out of the slot. He could do everything that you wanted a wide receiver to do. He had a great set of hands. But the problem in the end is, I think it's Cliff Kingsbury said, mate, you can't separate. Well, I can tell you, there's a lot of fucking 6'5" big. There's a lot of guys in the NFL that are that big, mate, can't separate, and that's not what the bread and butter is.
No.
And I didn't really notice that in college, but then again, college you step up. He obviously just couldn't make the step up to the pro ranks.
No, that's right. That happens.
Yeah, it does. So there you go. There's
very good.
Most of them wide receivers for me.
Yeah.
Fear of me. Thanks for and they are all the rest. And Cotlola.
Before we finish up.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
And we won't. You go, Ben.
I was just going to say. So far, if you had to pick a bust from this year, who would it be?
Ooh.
Like, think about three years down the line, say, shall we, or 3 or 4 years down the line? Who do you think? I mean, I know it's way too early, but
Trey Lance.
That was my pick as well.
Mate, like he played that. Don't people keep saying I haven't read anything, but they probably go, look at these touchdowns. Mate, his touchdowns he scored this year, even in pre-season, have been all busted coverages. Like the guy's wide open. It's not like he's slotted something into a window, the size of this. Mate, he's got the biggest wind-up on a throw. He's like a baseball pitcher. Mate, how many balls did he wind up and throw and almost got intercepted, batted away? It's not like go look at Matt Jones. That ball is out of his hands like that.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is a wind-up.
Yeah. Good one.
So that's just...
Anyone different for you, AJ?
Not really. I sort of feel a little bit like you could almost say Zach Wilson, but, I actually think Zach Wilson might get there. Rookies have a bumpy road sometimes. And I think, Justin Fields will get there as well. This is a good one. Leatherwood. Oh, my goodness.
I tell you one guy who won't.
Bloody can't be talking offensive line. That just goes to show his personality in a nutshell.
Well, to be fair, G, I was just about to say one guy who's not going to be a bust is Rashawn Slater, because every elite defensive end has lined up on him at the start of the game, and literally after one series, they've been like, "Nah, send me to the other side. We're not getting around him at all."
Oh, he's looked great.
He's been amazing.
He has been amazing. So yes, we've got the London game. Just to finish us off quickly, we're not going to talk about these in any sort of length. I'm just going to mention quickly. So New York Jets versus Atlanta London. So you can watch across 4 time slots. What's that?
Zach Wilson's second win.
Yeah. Now in the early time slot, Monday morning for us, we've got just kind of rate these. What do you reckon? Detroit at Minnesota. New Orleans at Washington. New England at Houston.
Has the Washington defense been a real football, but fantasy football has been an absolute letdown?
Terrible. Yeah. Chase Young's yet to get a sack, I think so. Green Bay at Cincinnati. Denver at Pittsburgh.
I don't mind that. Yeah.
I think Burrow against Rodgers will be good.
Philadelphia at Carolina. Hurts, Darnold. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Ugh. It's a little bit like
be a bit of a
watching a train wreck. But then in the later games,
don't worry about the train wreck, man. That's like watching two steam trains going in the opposite direction. It's just boring as shit. You'd rather than run into each other.
Derrick Henry's going to have 300 yards. In the later games, we've got Chicago at Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't know about that one. San Fran at Arizona, always entertaining.
Good one.
New York Giants at Dallas. Not sure about that one, but we've got Buffalo at KC.
Nice.
That's going to be an absolute cracker. And then Monday. Oh, so is that the Sunday night? No, Maybe that's the
Sunday
Sunday night.
football.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Monday night game is Indy at Baltimore, which isn't looking very exciting at this stage.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's great, isn't it? You know, we spend the whole year talking about football, and then week 5 we're like half the games. No.
As you line up even the worst one of those in June, and we're all up for it.
Yeah. At 3 a.m.
That's right.
No doubt.
All right.
Look, injuries have caused a lot of that. Like
Oh,
they don't have the players that we want playing.
True. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Let's wrap this up. That was very entertaining, if not depressing.
Sometimes you just got to own up to your mistakes. Yeah, it's good for the soul.
It is good for the soul. It's good for the soul. As long as we run one of these where we talk about our successes.
I'm going to have to work that in. I don't know, because we've gone now week 5. We should have done our successes, because now we're getting the week 6 and above. And I think we're going to be really struggling for anything above 6 or 7 that we actually got right. There's probably more than we got wrong than we got right.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
But let me just tell you, I'm going to shout you out, Matt Harmon. I've never seen you do a pod where you talk about your failures.
Oh, jeez. You'll be getting a tweet. You'll be getting a tweet tomorrow.
Actually, he probably has. Someone will say, "Hey, listen, he has done here." But no.
Yeah.
I think plenty of quote unquote experts don't necessarily own their failures.
Mate, I don't think a lot of people own their failures, really.
Yeah. Maybe it's, not so healthy to own your failures. Cheers, Hutchie. That's about right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend and enjoy the Slater games for week 5. Hope everybody's team is going well. And on behalf of G, Ben, and myself, thank you. And we'll catch you next time. And you can say goodbye or do something. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, everyone.